Okay, so you want to own a car wash. It sounds like the simplest business on earth. You buy a building with a tunnel in the middle. Cars drive in dirty, they drive out clean, and every one of them hands you money on the way through. No inventory to spoil, no kitchen to run, barely any staff, just water, soap, and a conveyor belt that never gets tired. You sit back and let the cars roll through. Here's the strange part. At the best car washes in America, washing cars is almost not the business at all. Most of the money doesn't come from the dirty car in front of you. It comes from a customer who pays you every single month and never shows up. And in February of 2025, a company that washed roughly 24 million cars a year with more than 260 locations and not one single machine broken filed for bankruptcy, owing nearly $654 million with $1 million left in the bank. Nothing was wrong with the car washes. By the end of this video, you'll know what a car wash actually sells, where the money really comes from, why the customer who never shows up is the most valuable one you'll ever have, and why the smartest money in the country poured billions into this business and then watched some of the biggest players in it collapse. So let's start with what you think you're buying. You think you're buying a machine that cleans cars. You're not. You're buying a subscription business that happens to have a tunnel attached to it. That distinction is the entire game. A car wash that lives on one-time customers, people who pull in, pay $10 and drive away, is a weather-dependent, seasonal, unpredictable business. Rainy month, empty tunnel. Cold week, no cars. That version of the business has existed for 100 years, and for 100 years nobody on Wall Street cared about it. Then somebody flipped one number and the entire industry changed. But before we get to that number, let's talk about what it costs to get in, because the price of admission has been climbing fast. At the small end, you can buy an old full-service wash with the land for somewhere around $1.5 to $2 million. That's the corner car wash, the one with people wiping down your dashboard by hand. That model is dying, and we'll get to why. The thing everybody actually wants to build now is the express tunnel. Car drives itself through on a conveyor, you stay in the driver's seat, you're out in 3 minutes. Here's the problem. Building one of those from the ground up cost about $5 million in 2022. By 2025 and 2026, that number had climbed to $7–8 million and up for a single location. Land, tunnel, equipment, water reclamation systems, the pay lanes, the license plate cameras. One tunnel, one town, and the money noticed. In a single recent year, private equity firms poured more than $750 million into the car wash industry. Think about that. Full-service washes went from owning almost the whole market, around 80%, down to about 15%, while these new express tunnels took over everything. An entire century-old industry got flipped upside down in about a decade. Why? Because of that one number I mentioned. So let's finally talk about it. The number is the membership, the Unlimited Wash Club. Instead of paying $10 per wash, the customer pays a flat monthly fee, usually somewhere between $20 and $40, for unlimited washes. And here's what the people who buy these companies actually say about it. They hit your credit card every month, whether or not you go to the car wash, until you tell them to stop. Read that again. You get paid whether the customer shows up or not. Now flip it around and look at it from the cost side, because this is where it gets almost unfair. Once the tunnel is built and the lights are on, what does it actually cost you to wash one more car? A little water, a little soap, a few cents of electricity. That's it. The building costs the same whether you wash 200 cars a day or 0. So the customer who pays you $30 a month and comes twice a week costs you real money in water and soap. But the customer who pays you $30 a month and forgets they ever signed up? That customer is almost pure profit. So let's stack up where the money in this business actually comes from, because it's not one stream, it's 4. The first layer is the single wash, the one-time customer. This is the layer everybody pictures, and it's the weakest one. It's lumpy, it's seasonal, and it barely moves the needle at a modern operation. The second layer is the membership, and this is the engine. At the largest chain in the country, unlimited memberships now account for around 76% of all wash sales. Not a slice. The overwhelming majority. That company crossed 2.3 million members paying every month. That's tens of millions of dollars a month arriving automatically before a single non-member ever pulls in. The third layer is the add-ons. The upsell to the ceramic coating, the tire shine, the interior package. Almost no extra cost, pure margin on top. And the fourth layer is the one nobody sees, and it's the one that tells you what this business really is underneath. It's the land. The biggest chains don't want to own their buildings. They do something called a sale-leaseback. They sell the physical real estate to a property company, then rent it right back and keep operating. One single chain pulled in around $96 million this way in 1 year and $140 to $150 million the next, just from selling and leasing back its own dirt. One real estate trust alone owns 121 of that chain's locations. So while you're watching cars get clean, the operator quietly turned the whole thing into a real estate play. The wash is the tenant. The land is the asset. So here's the counterintuitive truth at the center of this entire business, and it's worth saying plainly. You are not being paid to clean cars. You are being paid to enroll people. The clean car is just the excuse that gets somebody to hand over their credit card. After that, the machine that makes you rich isn't the tunnel. It's the auto-renew. A great car wash and a struggling car wash can run the exact same equipment, wash the exact same number of cars on a Saturday, and have completely different financial fates, entirely because of how many people are quietly paying every month and forgetting to cancel. Cars washed is the vanity number. Members enrolled is the real one, which is exactly the trap. Because if members are the whole game, then the fastest way to grow is to open more locations and sign up more members. And that is precisely how the biggest players in this business drove themselves off a cliff. Let me tell you what happened to Zips. Zips started in 2004 as 2 little car washes in rural Arkansas. Then it discovered the membership model and it discovered acquisitions. It went on a buying spree, more than 40 acquisitions, and swelled to over 260 locations across 23 states. A private equity firm bought control in 2020 and poured fuel on the fire, borrowing heavily to buy and build even faster. Roughly 1,000 new car washes opened across the country in about 5 years. Everyone was racing to plant tunnels on every busy corner. And here's the mistake buried inside all that growth. When you open a brand new location 2 miles from one you already own, the new one doesn't just capture new customers, it steals them from your own older store down the road. The industry has a word for building so many washes in one area that they eat each other. They cannibalize. Each new tunnel was quietly bleeding members off the last one. Then 2 things happened at once. Interest rates shot up, and all that borrowed money got expensive. Zip's annual interest bill alone jumped from $59 million a year to $93 million a year. At the same time, the growth story stalled because you can't keep signing up new members when your own stores are competing with each other. On February 5, 2025, Zips filed for bankruptcy. Nearly $654 million in debt, $1 million in cash. And I want you to sit with what did and did not go wrong. The tunnels worked. The soap worked. 24 million cars a year still rolled through. Not one physical thing failed. What failed was the math. The private equity owners had put in more than $100 million trying to save it. Every dollar of that was wiped out. Now, before you decide this business is a trap, look at the other side, because when it works, it really works. The largest chain in the country runs around 500 locations with margins near 30%. That is an extraordinary number for a business that just sprays water on cars. It got so valuable that in 2025 it was taken private in a deal worth about $3.1 billion. not because washing cars is magic, but because 2.3 million people are auto-paying every month, and that river of money is so predictable you can borrow against it, build against it, and sell it at a premium. That's the optimistic version. One well-placed tunnel on a busy corridor, with no competitor within a few miles, steadily converting one-time washers into members. Low churn. A membership base that keeps paying through rain, cold, and recession because $30 a month is too small for most people to bother canceling. In that scenario, a single site throwing off 2,000 loyal members is a quiet little cash machine, and the land underneath it is appreciating the whole time. The difference between that outcome and the Zips outcome usually isn't the equipment, and it isn't how hard anyone worked. It's two things: how much debt you piled on, and whether you were disciplined enough not to build your next wash on top of your last one. So let's run the two scenarios on a single tunnel that cost you, say, $7 million to build. The good year. You're the only express wash on a busy road. You convert steadily, and you're sitting on 2,500 members at $30 a month. That's $75,000 a month arriving automatically, $900,000 a year before you wash a single non-member. Rates are low, your loan is cheap, your churn is minimal. The tunnel runs 800 to 1,200 cars a day on a good weekend. This is the business everybody was promised. And when you go to sell, buyers are paying 15, 20 times earnings for exactly this kind of predictable stream. The bad year. A competitor opens 2 miles down the road, and suddenly your members are splitting their loyalty. Churn creeps up. A city nearby, and this is really happening, passes a moratorium and won't let you build the second location you were counting on. Interest rates rise, and the cheap loan you took to build the thing is now eating you alive, the way Zip's interest bill nearly doubled. Your cars per day looks almost the same as last year. But your member count is sliding, your debt is fixed, and the tunnel is still $7 million, whether 2,500 people are paying or 1,500. You cannot wash your way out of it. The machine is fine, the math is not. So can owning a car wash make you rich? Yes. Reliably for years if you understand what you actually bought, because you didn't buy a car wash. The tunnel is almost a decoy. What you bought was a subscription business dressed up as a cleaning service, sitting on a piece of real estate that quietly appreciates while the cars go by. The clean car was never the product. It was the reason people handed you their credit card. The product is the part they forget about. The small monthly charge that keeps arriving in the rain, in the winter, in a recession, long after they've forgotten your name. Every car wash on earth is really selling the same thing. And it isn't the wash you're driving through. It's the one you're paying for and never use.